Hey everybody. We decided we wanted to do something a little bit new this year, and we've said it before, we'll say it again. Our interest is not primarily to just sell you houses. We want to make sure that you have everything you need, and we want to be a resource for that. So, with that in mind, we want to make sure that you have access to all the professionals we do. Doing what we do, we know a lot of people, and a lot of them are really good at what they do. So we're going to start doing a thing called Ask the Expert. Today is the first day, and we have our friend and client, Michael Lankford, with us. He is an estate planning attorney. He's been doing it a really long time. Hi, Michael.
Hello, Kiana.
Can you fill us in a little bit on your background?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been doing estate planning work for about 10 years now. I work for a firm called Creative Planning Legal. We are a nationwide firm. I am based out of Washington. Definitely have the opportunity to help our Washington and Oregon clients. So I help clients with kind of the full range, kind of the average client next door, ultra high net worth, special needs children, spendthrift beneficiaries. Yeah, kind of runs the gamut. So
Uh,
I've been married for 18 years now. Got a great son, 11 years old. He keeps us busy, keeps us active.
yeah, he
So
does. I've seen your
uh,
Facebook. You guys are active.
that's yes, we do a lot of sports, which
Okay,
is always fun.
you ready for us to ask you some questions?
Let's do it.
All right, here we go.
Okay, Michael. One of the questions we hear a lot is what are the basic required documents for a good estate plan?
So really, it's important to understand that the estate plan is both addressing if you are ever incapacitated, but then also if you pass away. So really, with that framework in mind, their first pair of documents are powers of attorney. So those are addressed. Who's going to help you if you are incapacitated? You get into a car accident, have dementia, Alzheimer's. Who's helping you with medical decisions? Who's helping you with financial decisions? It's all about being able to step into your shoes to help you with throughout those situations. Because if we don't have those documents, then we've got to go through a court process. Takes a lot of time, takes a lot of money. You don't necessarily know who it's going to be. So it's much better for you ahead of time to get those powers of attorney put together.
Sounds like
Uh,
it's not a very nice thing to not have those in effect. Like
no, no, I mean,
fights over it, they spend money, like you're laying there half dead. None of this sounds good.
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, definitely nothing is that is not good to not have these documents.
Okay.
Because yeah, you're obviously incapacitated. That's a terrible situation. You want to make it worse by then having to go through the court and delay the process and just make it even more stressful for the people that want to take care of you.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
POAs, what's next?
the POA. So the other one is a basic will. So everybody needs a will, at least at a minimum to start with. And that's really where you get to designate who's going to receive all of your assets. You worked hard, you've bought the house, you've saved money. Who do they go to? Does it go to your spouse? Does it go to your kids, friends? But
And
also, yeah, yeah. And then how do you structure that as well? So is your son 18 years old and has some spending issues? Maybe you want to delay his access to it. Maybe you want to push that off to 30 or 35.
All right. So people want to come to you and they want to get the ball rolling on all this stuff. You're going to ask some questions of them and they have to designate certain things and certain people. Like, what are the roles involved in this and what should they be thinking about kind of as they start this process?
Yeah, so really it's kind of broken down into two at a minimum, but three potential roles. One is going back to the healthcare side. If you're in the hospital, who's going to help you with all the healthcare decisions? That can be very emotional. That can be working with your doctors. Do you have surgery A? Do you have surgery B? It also gets into potential life support. Do we keep life support with the hope of recovery, or do we have to potentially remove life support? So that's the very emotional side of the equation. And then the other part is definitely the financial side. So who's managing your finances? Again, for you if you were incapacitated, but then also to be the executor if you pass away. Who's going to actually go through that process of getting all the assets managed according to your wishes? And that's more kind of the accounting side. That's the work. That's the calling the bank and calling your financial institutions and calling you, Kiana, to potentially sell the house. That's all the financial aspect of it. And then for definitely a lot of clients, it's guardianship. If you have minor kids, you definitely need to have a guardian who's going to take care of them.
Right.
Who's going
So
to raise them?
potentially three different people. So I want someone who I
Mhm.
trust to pull the plug to be making,
Mhm.
if that's my desire, which it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I need someone I trust to do that, and then
Mhm.
someone I trust to be in charge of the financial matters, which could be two very different people, and
Mhm.
then possibly, somebody else for kids and backups for that too. I recall when we were doing this, it was, who's your first choice and who's your
Mhm.
second choice for all of those roles.
Sure. Yes, exactly. Yeah, for sure. I mean, at least one, of course, person after each other, right? You're going to name each other as primary.
Right.
Yeah, one person, and then yeah, you can go as many as you want. I've had clients put 10 different people. That's a absolute worst case scenario. Hopefully, we don't need that many people,
They're not
but
sure who they like because
that's true too.
I
Yeah.
don't know if I trust him to pull the plug. That might have to be somebody else. I might have to rethink
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the process kind of start to finish for creating the whole estate plan?
Yeah, so the way I structure the process is have an initial meeting where we go over all these questions, discuss all the different documents, who are you going to appoint, what do you want to do? And then once we have that game plan, then it's a matter of I prepare the documents, a week or two of drafting on my side, and then we have another meeting to review all the documents together. So as you can imagine, a lot of legalese, a lot of complicated jargon. So we want to explain that. We want to show how it works, make sure it matches the person's wishes. And then once we get it reviewed and matches their wishes, it's a matter of executing the documents because the documents aren't any good if we don't actually sign them. So they have to have formalities of witnesses and notaries.
That's important. And do you do all that in person? Do you do parts of it over Zoom? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so we're mostly over Zoom to start with, and then we can get together to review and sign documents.
Okay, so you've gone through the process with people, you've drafted the documents, they've signed them. What's next? What do they need to do to make sure that, things get carried out the way they want, to make it easy as possible on the people in those roles that they designated? How does that go?
Yeah, so I really consider executing the documents the first step. And there's a few steps afterwards. One of those being communicate what are your wishes, what are your overall where are your accounts, what are your objectives? Because telling someone you want your accounts to go to your kids is one part of it, but you got to know, okay, where are your accounts actually held? There's no,
Aspects
it's
of the accounts. Like, there's a lot of things. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just organization, keeping access to information, um, sharing of some passwords, social media accounts, Facebook, email, things like that. Um,
What happens if they don't have access to them and the person has passed away or incapacitated?
so they can potentially go to these companies where the accounts are held. It's just a lot more difficult. It's going to take a lot of time to actually gain access to that information.
How often should people be reviewing these estate plans?
Yeah, so at a minimum, I say every 3 to 5 years. I never charge for just a review to make sure nothing in the laws changed and circumstances in your life changed. So 3 to 5 years. Also, any major life events.
Mhm.
Have you moved states? Have you lost someone in the family that you trust? Did you get in an argument with someone in the family that you just want to have someone else now?
Yeah.
My wife and I moved from Kansas City to Snoqualmie. We had to change our documents because the person we named as guardian wasn't going to make sense for my son to have to move back over to Kansas. So we had to revisit.
All right, one of the things that I think potentially keeps people from doing this is that they think it costs tens of thousands of dollars to set these things up, which I think is just not true at all. Can you give us a ballpark for what it actually costs to set up just the basics, those POAs and the will? How much does that cost, ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, definitely not tens of thousands of dollars. It always depends on the personal situation. I would say the range is usually about $1,000 to $2,000.
Yeah.
But after that initial meeting, I usually give clients the exact cost of how much it's going to cost.
Okay. So much, much cheaper than retaining an attorney to fight with people because you did not get this stuff done.
That's definitely true. Yes, much cheaper to plan on the front end. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, what's that saying? No, you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
Yeah, that's
So
that's
that's
exactly, especially in this, and it's
yeah,
one of those things that nobody wants to think about. And I hate to ruin the surprise, but none of us are getting out of this alive. So, uh,
that's true.
It's one of those things that everyone should do, and we even put it off. I mean, we had at least one kid before we did it, and we waited too long. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of other people do too. But once they do it, it's just this immense weight off their shoulders. So uh, we think it's important. I bet you
Uh,
agree.
I totally agree. Yeah. Unfortunately, I have to work with numerous widows and young people who have lost a family member or a spouse. So it's not just for the elderly clients, it's for everyone.
For
Yeah.
everybody.
I mean even, even 18-year-olds. 18-year-olds should have powers of attorney.
Yeah.
They get into an accident, parents don't have any kind of authority to help them anymore.
Okay, last question. Is there anything else you think people should just kind of be aware about or start thinking of as they're kind of going down this path?
Yeah, we kind of touched base on it earlier in terms of reviewing documents. But I would also say if you're going through this process for the first time, also realize that you can change the documents, so it's not set in stone. So I kind of like to think about the plan as in this is the plan for next 10, 15 years.
Got
Come
it.
back in, down the road, change it based on circumstances.
Okay.
Life life changes, circumstances change. Make sure your estate plan matches your current situation.
Yep. Don't leave everything to your ex. That's no good.
That's exactly right. Yes, make sure to update beneficiary designations. Definitely hear stories of that.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for spending your time. It's one of these subjects that everybody, that hasn't already done it wants to know, but they're hesitant to pick up the phone. So we just so appreciate the kind of informal information. Obviously, we highly encourage anybody who has not already taken care of this stuff to reach out and give you a call. Anybody who needs that, call me. I will put you in touch with Michael instantaneously, and you can go ahead and take care of that thing because we know darn well it's hanging over your head. So let's take that off your plate.